What did you think of the horrendous interview that Quincy Jones did, where he said that you were the biggest pain in the ass during the We Are the World recording?
The jewelry was a pain in the ass. I didn't realize it. I've always been polite to him, though, and I never would say to him that I hate the song. I told my manager that. He shouldn't have told the guy.
So you did not like the song?
I think every individual in the world, in America especially, wants to contribute, and they don't know how. And something as simple as a phone call from Harry Belafonte to Ken Cragen that set this thing in motion.
I get a call from Ken Cragen. Belafonte had called Lionel and Ken and said, Live Aid in Europe has done it. You guys are doing nothing over here.
It was Harold Belafonte who called, and he said, listen, we've got a situation here. We've got white folks saving black folks, but we don't have any black folks saving black folks. What are we going to do about that? And I said, let me get back to you, Harry. And the next person I called was Quincy. And Quincy said, well, let's do something about this. And then, of course, I'm talking to Michael. And then there's Stevie. And then we started a little buzz here. That's when I realized, okay, if 2 or 3 or 4 of us are gathered together, sounds like a good prayer here, then we can get something done.
And he said, let's do a tour. I said, no, you can't take that many maniacs on a tour. So instead, let's do a 12-hour session with one song. Just before I did Thriller, I did an album with Donna Summer, a song called State of Independence. And on that I said, I had a 16-bar phrase. I said, I want the best voices in the world. And I had 1/3 of We Are the World on those 16 bars.
What was the process like writing the song with Michael Jackson?
At the beginning, it was no terror at all because we had no deadline.
So that meant?
Whenever you could write it, we can write it, it's no problem. 2 weeks before that night, we had no song. Cragen calls on the phone and says, Bruce is in, Dylan's in. Dylan, you mean Bob Dylan? What are you talking about? Well, Ray's coming. Ray Charles, Ray is coming. Oh. So all of a sudden we went from just la 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 to panic.
I felt like a fan. I mean, there was, from the list of participating artists that they showed me, it was just unbelievable. Going in, I felt, no, they're not all going to show up, no.
And I mean, it was just a room full of 5-year-olds, and we're all amazed that we're there with each other and getting used to each other. Just, I call it the first day of first grade. So you're all in the room without your parents, and we don't know exactly what we're doing, and Quincy's the parent.
I mean, it got me Diana Ross asking for autographs.
And of course, you just couldn't get enough of that. Just to sit around and, hey man, I just want to tell you I'm a big fan.
Bob Dylan and Ray Charles were the 2 guys I was most in awe of. Couldn't even introduce myself to them. I just sort of hovered around them and watched them.
Yeah, well, I think the most popular guy in the room was basically Ray Charles. Ray would play the piano, and then Billy would play the piano, and then Ray would play the piano, and that was a love affair that was happening that was just hilarious.
Was there any doubt you were going to go? Because I know when you talk to management, and they say, hey, Michael Jackson wants to do a song and everything, and you go, what the fuck is this song? My career's going pretty well. I don't really need to be a part of this. What convinces you to do We Are the World?
I was going to be in LA anyway, because it was one of those business weeks. It was Grammys and blah, 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 awards, yada, yada, yada. So I was going to be in town. I said, what the hell? This could be fun.
Right.
Nobody knew what the song was going to be. I'm standing next to Cyndi Lauper, and now we're all being filmed while all this is going on, and she's leaning over me going, this song sounds like a Pepsi commercial. So that's all I'm thinking of now. We're doing a Pepsi commercial.
I felt, when I first heard it, I was like, because of Michael, and we saw The Ride, A Small World After All. Uh-huh. And when I first heard the song, I was like, oh, it's...
We didn't know whether Cyndi was coming. Because at the show, I said to Cyndi, are you coming? And she said, I spoke to my boyfriend, and he says, he doesn't think it's a hit. And I said, don't miss the session.
You know what? I thought, I heard we say feed the world, and I kind of got so into that that, you know, we are the world, you know, it reminded me, it was catchy though.
Yeah.
And you know, I was honored to freaking sing it. But what I didn't understand, what I didn't understand was what I began to when I got there and I started to watch Quincy Jones work. Of course, I was the bane of his existence because I had some jewelry on and I didn't realize, I was worried about how I would look. I didn't want to look like a plain Jane.
You know, we took regular union breaks every couple hours. There'd be 15 minutes breaks, and it was just the artists, so we hung out. You know, I found out that Bruce Springsteen is a very funny guy. He's a really good joke teller.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
who knew, right? Who knew?
It was a fun thing. Bruce and I, you know, we knew each other, and when everybody's singing together, sometimes Bruce and I are in the chorus, and sometimes we're not, because there was a big pile of deli sandwiches on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
And we kept going together over to get a beer and a sandwich.
And yeah, we had all kinds of, I mean, Willie Nelson comes over, we're talking about golf. He says, I hear you're playing golf. I said, yeah, we put the clubs on the bus and it gives us something to do. He said, yeah, we're doing it too. And Bob Dylan comes over and says to us, he says, are you guys talking about golf? And we said, yeah. He says, wow, that's outrageous.
It was Bob Dylan. Bob is a sweetheart, but when Bob says, I'll be there, you have to say to yourself, okay, did he get the right day? Is it the right time? Is it gonna be there? Surprisingly enough, Bob was one of the first there on the.
Wow.
So
wow.
So once Bob walked in and Bruce, then we had show.
You were good.
What was it like working with some of the musicians on that project? The heavyweights?
Ridiculous. It was ridiculous. That was lots of fun. I enjoyed it very much. You know, there was, I think Quincy had a sign on the door that, you know, keep your egos outside, keep out the door. And so, I mean, you know, you had a lot of different personalities.
Is it true that at the recording session you put up a sign on the door? This is not true.
No, I put it in the letter. But it was not necessary, man. When you do something like that, you don't know it's going to work, man, and be that big. When we started up, we had Lionel and Kenny Rogers, Dan Aykroyd, and LaToya. Those people came there to try to do something good for Ethiopia like they always do.
I'd like to say, to thank them and also apologize that the slogan, keep your egos at the door, ever got out of hand because it was never necessary. The cause itself, I think, was significant enough to command the teamwork and the love and the giving that everybody gave that night. And we're happy that we were able to share it.
Imagine, I guess I was 31 or 32, and I knew then that this was the career event of my life, right?
Wow.
And now, certainly 39 years later, it still is. So
Wow.
that's pretty incredible.
I mean, when you look at that photo of everybody, aren't you like, wow, I can't, I mean, it is pretty wild that you were all in one room.
Yeah, it was a moment in time, right?
Were people able to request who that they wanted to share the mic with, or was that an assignment that you and Quincy Jones came up with, or how did that work?
That was an assignment that it was Quincy and myself and two other wonderful people that I could see. Their names escape me.
Right.
Their job was to, remember, everybody has a certain key they sing in.
Yeah.
So to make this actually really special is that their job was to go around and put the right key in the place where these guys can sing it to their best. And I'm telling you, that was a day we had in my house trying to decide who was going to sing what part.
I kept saying to Quincy, is everyone going to go in a booth and sing their part? He said, no, we're going to put them in a circle and they'll be perfect every time we sing. Why? Because you're standing and looking into the rest of the class. You're going to be perfect every time, you know, and it was true. A little intimidating. In fact, did I say a little intimidating? Intimidating.
Was it intimidating for you?
I mean, now that I talk about it now, it was terrifying. 46 artists, creative artists. The one thing you never say is, I'm not sure about this, what do you think? We have 46 creative artists in the room.
Right, they need a leader.
Stevie walks in and says, I think we need to do something in the language. Tutu Wainono Willie Moingu.
And the funny things happen, like Bob Dylan was shy to sing on his own. So Stevie Wonder comes out and is telling Bob how to sing like Bob Dylan. we are the world. We are the children. And Dylan's like, okay, I think I can do that.
Bob is over the microphone going, and Stevie's at the piano going, it's a choice we make it. Receiving that. So I walked over to Bob and said, I think you need to go see Stevie. I think he's got it. And so Stevie said, Bob, it's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. And Bob said, yeah. And they went right back over and nailed it.
He didn't know what to do.
He was shy to sing on his own with everybody else. But Stevie wanted teaching Bob Dylan to sing like Bob Dylan that was a moment.
And I understand you didn't know at the time that you'd have a solo. What was that like to have a solo in front of all in that group?
Well, frightening, of course. But he says, Smelly, get over here. He called Michael, they call Michael Smelly. He says, sing the line for Huey. And he sang the line. He says, sing it, Huey. I sang it. He says, you got it. And then, so from then on, it was nerve-wracking, right?
I learned for the first time that you're the guy that recommended me for Prince's line. But it's in the documentary, but I never knew until then. You know?
It's funny, yeah. Michael came up to me and said, well, Prince isn't going to be here. Who should sing the solo line? I said, the best singer in here is Huey Lewis.
Aren't you great?
Because he didn't know it, but he came, and we told him at the very last minute, Prince is not coming, you're taking Prince's part. He had a nervous breakdown.
Nerve-wracking, right? I mean, you're doing this in front of the greatest singers in the world. Right? You can't see it on the clip or in the documentary, but when I'm singing my part, my right leg is shaking. Yeah, recording, I had Michael right here and Cindy over here, and Michael and I shared a number of things. I mean, he didn't miss a trick. He was so on it, and he's got the aviator shade. Yeah. You think that he's just kind of, but he knew right what was going on, and it was really a fun session.
They kept saying, okay, now you have to sing really high. I was like, okay. And I kept trying different things because we were the bridge people.
You were with Kim Carnes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I wanted to be polite too. I didn't want to step all over her.
Right.
So I came up with something that I thought was a good background part, that you wait for like Mary Clayton to sing,
Yeah.
'cause that was my hero.
And, there were a lot of people who wound up not getting a solo shot. Harry Belafonte, Bette Midler, Smokey Robinson, on and on and on. Were any of those people pissed not to be getting on the mic for a line?
No, actually, no, it wasn't that kind of an attitude. I must admit, at that particular point, everybody kind of was told ahead of time that you would have a solo part. We didn't surprise you when we got to the set. So everyone knew that they had either a on-camera live part or just going to be in the choir.
Was there a moment that night when you thought, we're not going to be able to pull this off?
Several times. It was just fatigue at one point. Once you get to 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're now putting on individual parts. Springsteen left the building on the last thing we put on this record at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you know what? There were two people actually just conspicuously absent from that, and I must tell you, Prince and Madonna. But we were trying to round people up. It was chaotic. I must tell you, it appeared that it was so organized in a lot of areas. But remember, we didn't have the internet back then, so getting music to people and having people listen to the song and do you want to be a part of it in a very short period of time was very difficult.
Prince was at Carlos and Charlie's. I'll tell you the absolute truth behind this now, since you want to really know the dirt. And he said, I can come, but I want to record in a separate room. That was not what we wanted to hear, so.
And then I made the worst mistake. I said, listen, I'll put you right next to Michael.
Oh, and he didn't want to be next to Michael?
Done.
Oh.
Done. So no, I said, Prince, are you there? He said, I'll do a guitar solo.
Oh, really?
And then that was Prince.
Why do you think he didn't want to be next to Michael?
Well, he didn't want to be next to any of us. That's the truth of the matter. Because, Prince was the isolationist. He was like, I'm going to be in my cubicle, so we didn't work like that. We had everyone to stand next to each other. There's Paul Simon, there's Bob Dylan.
Yeah, so check your ego at the door, right?
Back street somewhere,
I wanted him so badly to be there, but, everyone had their own attitude at the time.
Yeah.
I'll say that in the nice way.
Why did it have to be Cyndi Lauper or Madonna?
It's probably one of the most interesting questions in the world because we had only a half a line to sing. Let me say this now, a half a line. You have to have an identifiable voice. And of whatever reason, it was just Cyndi had that wow, 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 you know.
Right.
That was it. And so.
But you couldn't have both of them?
You know, it's hard.
You guys made a mistake.
You know, I'm gonna say this now on national and international television. You're right.
You know, 20/20 hindsight is always a fabulous way to put things together. But I have to tell you something. I always also believe in divine guidance. In other words, exactly who was supposed to be there was there. I always kind of look back and say, well, what if we could have had this and what if we could have had that? But We Are the World was absolutely perfect in its that was one night only to capture all of those people from, that was ultimately a miracle that we pulled off.
Grammy goes to We Are the World, Quincy Jones, producer.
We Are the World, Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie.
It's so nice to be able to see this caliber of talent get together for this.
I got a feeling that we're creating a shift in what's going on in the world today.
When they called and asked for this was something that it's very close.
If this can be almost seen as a symbol for people to just begin to recognize, and look around them a little bit.
I do believe that what we have done is that we're taking it one at a time. And out of this experience, we may be able to save a few thousand lives.
I hope that this is a thing that you don't worry about whether it's hip or square to do. I hope it just becomes fashionable.
We are so proud to be a part of an industry of people that in a time when the world is in need of helping each other, this music industry of ours responded.
We actually thought we were going to wipe out hunger around the world. All we needed to do was just tell a few people and the rest of the world would take over and the whole world will run next door and save their next door neighbors and their cities and their communities.
First, I'd like to thank God. And I'd like to say thank you for choosing Lionel and myself to write We Are the World. I thank Quincy Jones, who is the greatest producer to me.
One important thing is that it made people aware of the fact that there were people that were starving in that part of the world, in Ethiopia and various parts of Africa. It made people aware of the fact that there was a problem. And it made many people give from their hearts to help that situation.
Got more than $3 million worth of food and medical supplies bought with profits from the hit single We Are the World. Marlon Jackson is on board. Lionel Richie and Diana Ross are the plane off from Los Angeles on Monday.
I think it's going to mean a lot. It's already meant a lot in my life. I feel like I've done something. I sung a song, and maybe I'll save a life, even if it's one. So it's important to me as an individual. And so I'm real moved by it. I really am.
You raised, I think it was $80 million at the time, and now it's double that.
Yeah, no, we raised a lot of money, yes.
Did you get a chance to see that in action?
Oh, yeah. We kept thinking, okay, we're going to give away $5 billion. Okay, hopefully we'll raise 10. Once you get to 40 and 50, whoa, what the heck just happened? But I remember calling Quincy on the phone and said, did we say we're giving away half the money or all the money? He said, don't try it. Lionel, don't try it. Don't try it. We're committing all the money. I said, okay, I just want to make, because once you get past 50, 60, $60 million, but then you realize we kept trying to stop We Are the World. In other words, okay, we're winding it down. And then next thing we know, $2 million comes in. It's still breathing. It's still breathing.
In 1985, you participated in We Are the World, which gathered together some of the top performers of our day and LaToya Jackson. The thing everyone wants to know, what I need to ask you, bear with me, what the hell was Dan Aykroyd doing there?
He is just standing there being a part of it.